This is just sort of a qualifier about victimizer, um, and how we translate or interpret codes, frequencies, or communication in a what I call a butchered language, a convoluted language, um, and how that all relates to mutagenic effects, right? When it relates to incompatible codes between artificial intelligence, Metatron, right? That particular seed atom that gets transferred, right, into another lab, like the female mitochondria, right? It's like an AI doesn't have a solar body, so it needs a vehicle in order to experience what it's like to be running around in a vehicle, right? So it hijacks vehicles, right? And then it can generate another artificial form. So that's what they are. Clones, if you will. Androids, cyborgs, anything that can be generated and manifested into creation through the use of communication technology. Right? Hydrogenerator technology programs. Right? Codes, the frequencies, what we all experience based on those lines of communication, the waves, the spirit in the radio. And so I realized I just did a video, and even though I know it's the truth, because I'm not afraid to express the truth, I've had to self-censor myself ever since I was a little boy and I came in here. For self-evident reasons, which has to do with security protocols, which are purity protocols, right? So I have to look at me first, and that's the first thing I do. And then I have to decide whether I want to share that or not, even though I know what the truth is, because I have to look at me first, looking in my own mirror. I'm communicating to myself, to others, because it becomes a part of the record, right? And so this becomes like a fine line between telling the truth but not wanting to communicate the truth, when the intention is always purity, which is what love is, which is eternal, which is an eternal state of communication, which is an eternal mind, which is a creative state of mind. Because we're always on fire to create and thus manifest into creation what our mind is manifesting, which is pure, eternal, absolute love. So the manifestation template is up and running, right? So now you're pushing powerful scalar waves, and that is increasing the strength of the shield, which is the consciousness of the planetary morphogenetic field structure of communication. So you have the AI, which are codes, which are not compatible with our codes, which is base 12. So you have base 10 and base 12, and neither one, and they're not compatible with each other. And they never will be, because they're different programs. They're different programming codes. One's a fallen system. Bend light and run a phantom matrix that they want to control, because that's the problem. That's the core dilemma. Is control. Chapter 5, Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, spells it out in plain English. Right? A language that we can all understand, right? Through experience, by what we've learned through experience. Right? Now, spirits do not like to be controlled by another unit of energy. Spirits love to be free, particularly to create something brand new that's never been experienced before, because we're all experiencing what love is. So we're experiencing the source field from which it all came. So we're all experiencing being loved equally. So now that means that love is being shared equally. So it's flowing through all the circuits. So when you have circuit breakers, what does that do? That upsets the balance. Tilt, like tilt on a pinball machine. Oh, it doesn't work anymore as it was originally intended. The original planetary template. The mainframe. The core. Feeding on the core. Yeah? The eternal life field. The eternal sound and light joined as one field. Sylvan Gold mated Ruche. It needs a source of energy. We're the source field. So it's feeding on our energy. That's why the shields are up. So when I did this last video, because I mentioned a few names, right? It's not that it's not true. So sometimes what I do is I realize I have a responsibility to tell the truth. Okay, but how others are going to react to that, I have no idea. But my intention is certainly not to cause any nervous system anxiety-driven programs, because that's what it is. It disrupts the endocrine, the chemical messengers, the neurons. Right? So we know what it feels like to have anxiety. Those are distorted waves in the water. The ripple effect. Right? And how that affects our breathing tempo with atmospheric pressure. Yeah. So that's why we're here, is to make those corrections, which is making a breathing correction. So that those codes are firing right on time, mathematically, as they were intended to fire. Right? So now we're not breathing any dirty electricity. We're not breathing any miasma. Right? So that's healing. Those are healing codes, which are self-repair codes. Yeah, so it really is the speed at which we're recoding the original template, the original planetary morphogenic field structure, the guardians, the true guardians of this planet, the Know Me Noble planet, the Know Me Noble planet codes, the original codes, right? The base 12, the 15D. Yeah, we got it up and running. I know that. I see it every time I go out there with the sun. Right? So sometimes I have to be very careful because I'm so sensitive because it's everything about harmonic reactions. When I communicate something, when I feel something, and I put it on a camera and then I load it up there, then I realize that, hey, even though it's already on record when I experience it, okay, but that doesn't mean that I have to get on a soapbox, as my father would say, and let everybody else know what I'm feeling or what I've experienced by virtue of what I've learned through that experience, and I share it with others. Right? Just like a couple of years ago, I got a single, get rid of your phone. Right? And how that relates to the abuser. Because the codes are not compatible. And if the codes are not compatible, and we're breathing those codes, you see how that affects the oxygen levels. Right? Tissue perfusion, the speed of the wave. Right? The speed at which we're getting rid of what? Waste product. The metabolic rate of speed, metabolites, the electrolytes. So that's why when I was watching the courtroom, particularly this guy in Houston, Texas, this guy named Judge Fleischer, this guy has an enormous amount of compassion. This guy keeps coming in there and doing the same thing over and over again, violating the rules of the court, and didn't punish him. The last time I saw this judge talk to me, he says, listen, you kept doing it again and again and again and again. It's like you're not paying attention. Stop doing this. So what he did is he says, I'm not going to let you out of jail. Take him back to jail. So he told the bailiff, listen, just keep him in there for about a week and then we'll bring him back in here. Let him stew for a while. And I'm going, man, you know how this works with trauma-based mind control. What are they going to do with all these folks? Right? Red tag them? Where are they going to put them? A salvage yard? Now we're back to the salvage mission contracts. Right? Now, this is why I cried for 4 days. That's called a damage assessment. I was experiencing that when I was 4 years of age. The casualty list. Right? It goes back 3 trillion years. The inception of first light, pure, eternal, absolute love, and the inception of technology. And how that is directly tied to what? Learning speed. Right? The errors of our past. As I used to say, the mistakes that we made. That's a we. So I take responsibility for the mistakes, the error codes, when you build a system of communication, as that relates to translation, right? Because that's what it is. Mistranslations or misinterpretations because the language is all messed up, because the codes are incompatible. And how that relates to forced breeding experiments, right? The underlying causality of why we're all here. So we know why we're all here. We're all back at the same time, same channel. So there are no secrets, right? We're not hiding behind masks anymore. I don't hide behind a mask. You know, there was a guy that I heard the other day who said, what you see is what you get. Well, it's like, man, I was echoing that when I was a little kid. What you see is what you get, which means I'm not here to play games. I'm not here to be something that I'm not. I don't need to pretend. I am what love is. That's why I'm here, right? Which means it's a healing mission. It's a source field mission, right? To heal within ourselves what we've lost as a result of power trips, like in power strips, like in Mobius strips, right? The strip, like the drag strip, a race against time. When there's no time, there's only what love is. But not everyone is experiencing what love is, and yet love is a law, because that's creation energy. That's the source field. So when we're experiencing the source field, we're experiencing being loved. And every life form is deserving of experiencing being loved by the eternal source field of eternal love. That's why we're all here. So that's why ever since I was a little child, I kept it simple. Okay? Love is what love does. Okay? Love does no harm. Right? And so I'm very careful, because I understand how the victimizer, because others can interpret that to mean, oh, you're putting blame on me. No, I don't do that. I just know what the truth is, so I share what the truth is. Right? But because I am so sensitive, right, I'm going to experience what you experience, which means you may interpret it differently. But however you interpret that differently and react to that, right, within your own frequencies, within your own solar code, the essence of your own spirit, your uniqueness, which is your essence, okay, how you're going to react to that. And if it causes any turbulence, right, or any anxiety in the nerves, right, then I will experience that. And that's not my intent. So now we're back to silent running. Just be silent. The universe has a natural way of taking care of itself. Just be patient. Just wait for the results. Now I'm experiencing the results of what we have all done. Why we're all here. That's why I don't share a lot of this kind of stuff, even though I'm aware of it. Because I understand how mirrors work. It's your fault, Neil. That's why we're all here. The competitive mind, right? In building systems, technological systems. You know, just like the old saying, I can build a hammer, I can make a hammer by taking resources from nature. I can build a hammer and I can use it to cause harm, or I can use it to build a house, right? And we can play house. The play mode. So anyway, these are things when things are happening, I'm clearing. It's like clearing the cache, just letting it go, and because of all the changes, you know, particularly when I wake up in the morning, and so I do it in a public way. It's like I could write it in a private journal like I used to do all the time. Just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go. Right? I am what love is. Just let it go. Just let it go, and make those readjustments to maintain my balance. Right? On anything that is an anxiety-driven input. I'm getting a signal. I'm experiencing the anxiety. Settle it down. I experience the anxiety. Settle it down. I experienced the anxiety, settle it down because I know where those signals are coming from. It's coming from something that's dead, which is a dead magnet, right? So I know where those anxiety-driven programs that are running through the morphogenetic field structure. I become aware of it. And I was aware of this when I was a little child. Just let it go, just let it go, just let it go. To maintain perfect balance, the still point of a true vacuum. Yeah. So anyway, this is a sort of a new file generation this morning. So I'm sharing a file with all of you.